The problem that I have about combat tips videos is that they're not that useful. They haven't really shown you things that you haven't already known, that you haven't already seen, or maybe things that aren't really even that practical. And so this is my exact goal with this video, is to show you something not only useful, but something practical that you can also use during your playthroughs. To start off, let's talk about the spell Stop. What's so great about this spell is that not only does it stop the inflicted opponent, but if you use this during an enemy stagger, it will stop the stagger gauge from even going down. You'll have a longer amount of time to hit the opponent while he's staggered, and you can rack up more and more damage. And what's great about this is that you can use Tifa to boost the stagger percentage while the enemy is stopped, so you can rack up even more damage. You can use this in conjunction with the ATB Materias that you'll obtain throughout the game, and I find that these ATB Materias don't really have the best explanations on how to use them or what they're useful for. So let's go into those for a second. First and foremost, you have ATB Assist, which is possibly the best ATB Materia in the game. What you'll need to do is you need to use ATB back to back. And what I mean by that is there's a very small window. What I like to do is use an ATB, and before the animation is all the way completed, I like to go right into the menu and go and load out a second ATB command. By doing this, you pretty much ensure that you're using an ATB back to back, and as you'll see here, the other party members will gain ATB by doing so. ATB Boost is another vague explanation that can be very confusing, but what it does is when you use it, it will double your current ATB. So you're going to want to use this when you have half of one bar, because if you use it when you have half, it'll double, so it'll give you one full gauge of ATB. Or you want to use this when you have one gauge already filled up. Use ATB Boost, and that is going to double it so that you'll have a full bar of ATB, a full 2 gauges. Lastly, you have the Skill Master Materia, which gives you ATB once you use 3 ATB abilities. But there's a little bit of a caveat that's not explained. What you need to do is use 3 different ATB abilities. So as an example, what I like to do is I'll begin the battle off with Cloud, if I have First Strike, for instance, and I'll have him use Triple Strike, Disorder, and then Focus Thrust or Braver. Just 3 different abilities. And what that will do is that you'll see here, it actually gives an ATB. It doesn't look like it gives any, but you'll see that I didn't lose any ATB by the 3rd ability that I've used. So it's the fact that it didn't take away any ATB, that's the give back that it gives. Another tip that's really useful to know is that there are various abilities that actually give ATB. For instance, the best one is Tifa and her Focused Strike. You'll see that when you use Focus Strike, it nearly gives back 1 full ATB gauge. Along with Tifa, you also have Cloud's ability to counter in Punisher mode. That gives a significant amount of ATB. But I think one that's a little bit lesser known is his ability Disorder. When you use Disorder, it gives back a slight amount of ATB. What's nice about this is that if you're in Operator mode and you use Disorder, typically it'll knock the enemy down, and you'll gain some ATB by using Disorder. You'll also be primed and ready to go into Punisher mode and just strike away at a downed enemy to build your ATB even more. And finally, with all of this ATB talk, you have the cherry on top, which is Aerith's ATB Ward. You can get this ability from her final weapon, and what it does is it creates a field, a circular field on the battlefield. And when you use ATB within this field, you'll actually be getting ATB back when you use abilities that use up ATB. What's so great about this is that when you use everything in conjunction with each other, whether that's stop during an enemy stagger, you use the ATB Materia's ATB Assist, Skill Master, all really well in conjunction with each other. You've got the abilities that give ATB, and then you have ATB Ward. You can create this combo that, I don't want to say it gives exactly infinite ATB, but it definitely gives enough ATB to destroy anything that is in your way, whether that's a boss or whether that's a random encounter. You really want to start having a flow to how your attacks work, specifically so that you can take advantage of ATB Assist, where you use ATB back to back. So one of the combos that I like to use is Tifa. I like to just begin off with Focus Strike because, as I've explained, it gives a ton of ATB back. And then right after, I'll use a move like Chi Trap or Star Shower, whatever ability I really want to use. But the point of the matter is that that's going to build the ATB bars for my other party members. If I'm using Cloud, I'll go ahead and use Triple Slash, and then I'll go ahead and use Disorder because, again, it gives me back some ATB and it fills up all of the other party members' bars as well. Something good to know in the hard mode playthroughs is that Aerith is probably the only character that has access to regaining her MP. The Soul Drain ability that she has, when you use this on a staggered enemy, you can actually get back a decent amount of MP. So keep that in mind if you're going through a hard playthrough. There are various different crowd control options that I don't see a lot of players talking about, but I find that sleep is actually very, very useful in this game, especially if you're not using it outside of machines. The machines are going to be always immune to it. But the fact of the matter is, in large groups of enemies, you can go ahead and put to sleep other enemies that you're not focused on, because the AI will simply just not attack if the enemy is already asleep. Speaking of crowd control, one of the lesser known tactics that I've seen be used is Barret's Deadly Dodge attack. Now, in large groups of enemies, you can use Barret's Deadly Dodge and then attack. It just takes this area of effect swiping motion that hits so many different enemies, and the damage isn't really the best. However, what's nice about this is that it definitely builds his ATB very quickly because of the fact that he's hitting multiple enemies at one time. So that's going to do it for these advanced combat tips and tactics. Hopefully you found something that maybe you didn't know, or maybe at least something a little bit more practical that you can use during your own playthroughs of the game. As always, thanks a lot for watching. I appreciate it. If this video was valuable to you, if you learned something, by all means, please throw a comment, give me a like. I really appreciate it. It really helps to support the channel.